Good morning. I'd like you to think back to a warm summer day. You just got done with practice. You're parched. Nothing in the world sounds better than a cool drink of water. We've all been there. I know personally back when I was playing football, it took me about 10 seconds to get to that point. But what if there is no water? What if you only had a small ration that you were allotted to back at home? Now this may seem like a very radical idea, but unfortunately it could be a reality if we don't make a change to how we use water here in America and around the world. In my time with you today, I'm going to talk with you about the threats water shortages place on our society. I'll first dig into how serious and immediate this threat really is. Then I'll discuss opposing viewpoints on how we can preserve water and slow down a water crisis. Before we dive into the meat of this issue, I think it's important to mention that just because we live in the United States doesn't mean we aren't vulnerable to an issue like this. It may be that mostly developing countries suffer from this crisis, but this problem is growing and will soon reach the developed world as well. According to the effects of water shortages on health and human development and perspectives of public health, over 1.1 billion people suffer from lack of water supply, and 2.6 billion people suffer from a lack of adequate sanitation. Now this number balloons when you consider the amount of people who face these problems seasonally, and it becomes 4 billion people, around 2/3 of the world's population. According to the New York Times article, 2/3 of the world population faces severe water shortages. As you can see in this map, the majority of the world that faces water shortages come from Africa or Asia, but it is also evident that in the southwest of the United States, this is becoming a pressing issue. Now, it may be hard for many of you to even picture what a water shortage would look like. We're so used to the luxury of being able to get a glass of water or taking a shower whenever we'd like. But here in this country, we've recently seen what it's like for those abilities to be taken away. According to NBC News' article, FBI Investigating Flint's Poison Water Crisis, in April 2014, the town of Flint, Michigan switched its water supply from the city of Detroit to Lake Huron. In the process of switching, the town was put on the water supply of the Flint River. The water from this river was contaminated with too much lead and caused the entire town of Flint to lose their water supply. Since this was discovered in January of this year, the town has been forced to live off bottled water until a safe alternative can be reached. You've seen how this has affected the lives of these 99,000 people, so try to imagine the impact of this on a global scale. As you can see, this is a bigger problem than you may have expected. Now this isn't going to be an immediate threat tomorrow or next year here in the United States, but it's something we need to keep an eye on. And there are people working to make sure that this isn't a problem generations down the road. Now, saving water may seem like an easy thing to do, but there's many different ideas on the best way to do it. Water is used for many functions in the United States, but none more than agriculture. According to AG programs and water shortages, in the Journal of Soil and Water Conservation, 80% of the water used in the United States is used for agriculture, and 39% alone is used to irrigate crops. While agriculturalists may be the biggest users of water, they tend to also be the biggest abusers as well when it comes to wasting water. A way that agriculturalists measure how much water they are wasting is by using something called irrigation efficiency, which is the percentage of water that directly benefits plants. The most common type of irrigation used in the United States is the flood method, in which a ditch is dug and water is pumped into the field using the ditch to flow along the ground. While this is the most common and most cost-effective, it is also the most wasteful, as it has an average efficiency of only 55%. For most farmers, it's hard for them to switch away from the flood method because of how cheap it is. But there are two methods that preserve much more water. The first is the sprinkler method, in which water is applied to plants by the use of some sort of sprinkler system, and this method has an efficiency of 80%. Finally, the other method is called drip, in which piping is laid down either next to or below plants, and water is dripped right onto the roots. This is a very expensive method, but it has an efficiency of 85%. While many acknowledge these last two methods are more efficient, they struggle with the increased costs. While some feel as though irrigation is the biggest problem facing our water supply, many others feel as though there are plenty of other things that can be done to help lessen the burden on the future. Some fixes that can be made by companies, local governments, and individuals would be to repair underground pipes to prevent leaks and to install water-saving appliances. An example of this is the Frankfurt Airport in Germany, which recently installed a roof to capture 16 million liters of rainwater and reuses it for other functions around the airport. While these ideas have all been about how water usage can be changed or altered, there are some who feel that what really should be changed is the price we pay for it. According to the world's water crisis and the futurist, Robin Clark of the World Climate News and environmental author Janet King feel that prices for water should be increased to discourage people from wasting it. This is a very controversial issue that has strong supporters, but also those who argue that water is a fundamental human right and shouldn't be a commodity. These are just a few of the many different perspectives people have on how we can save water and in turn save the earth. Now, we don't have to choose just one, because they can all work together. In my time with you today, I was able to bring to the forefront an issue that affects every one of you listening. We only have a limited supply of water that all 7 billion of us have to share. Unfortunately, this is an issue that people around the world are dying from, and we just don't seem to care because it's not right in our backyard, which is a shame, because if we're not careful, it could be. Thank you for your time.